talk about the Makia Bryant situation.
Uh-huh.
And that's going to be a part of our, deep dive later on. But as far as sports are concerned with LeBron, he posts a tweet, and we're going to talk about what happened. But the tweet basically had LeBron post the image of the officer, and his caption was "You're next." Hashtag accountability with the hourglass emoji.
Wait a minute. Back that up. Say that again. Hold on. Hold on.
Whenever you're ready, man, let me know.
Go ahead. Say it again. Because I
So
need to process it.
LeBron
Right?
James put out a tweet, and we all know LeBron James isn't afraid to speak his mind. He always steps up for the culture. So as I'm getting, all right, bet we got some more people coming in. Come on in. For those that are coming in tonight, it's not going to be as relationship and all that gossip and all that jazz. We're talking about some serious issues. So we're talking about LeBron James's tweet where he basically put up a picture of the officer who shot Makia Bryant and had a picture of the officer with a "Your Next" caption with a hashtag accountability with an hourglass emoji, which was later deleted, by the way,
Right.
which was later
Right.
deleted.
Right.
So somebody pulled him back,
Mm.
or I don't know if maybe he dug in deeper. JoJo says he was too fast, so
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about, JoJo. Was he too fast? Did somebody pull him back? Did Maverick Carter step in and say, chill out, slow down just for a second? This is a little bit different.
Right,
But
Kiwi. Right.
one
So,
thing I'm gonna say before you go, Kay, is that, he said he took it down because I dig deep. I always do my research, guys. I don't just come
mhm.
in here shooting shit. He said he took it down because it the tweet was used to create more hate, and he didn't want to be in that, and seen in that light. And then one thing I'm gonna also say is the National Fraternal Order of Police says this is disgraceful and extremely reckless. Speaking about LeBron James's tweet by itself,
Mm. Mm.
the officer saved a young girl's life. No amount of gaslighting will change that fact.
Wow.
So that's what I'm gonna
Wow.
turn it back to you, bro.
So before we oh Joe's already on it. So before we dig into that, bro, well we
Right.
might as well. You know what? Because it's gonna be lit. Hold on.
It is.
Hold
It
on.
is.
It's gonna be lit. Texas number 301-857-1757 to join the conversation. As soon as I see it, I will send you the link so you can join in on the conversation. So we can bring you in and we can talk about it, man. Because let's just go deeper. We can do the this week in black business on the other side. They're fucking
Okay.
so so we're talking about this tweet, and we got to bring the situation into perspective. So Makia Bryant was shot by a white police officer 4 times in the chest. He's responding to a call. Apparently, she is the one that made the call that saying she was being accosted by 2 other people. The child lives in a group home. I say child because she's a child, 15, 16 years old. That is a
Hmm.
child, right? Um, and then when they show up on the scene, altercation occurs, and she's the one that gets shot 4 times in the chest. But also, she's the one that's holding the knife. And we looked at this before we even started talking about it, and you and I had opposing opinions on it. uh, You know,
Yeah, yeah. We had opposing opinions on it. We talked about, what would you do in that situation, and we had the luxury of watching it over and over,
right,
slowing it down, speeding it up. And we all know you don't get to have that option in real life.
right,
So I'm gonna start off by saying, to be fair, I'm not a police officer. I don't go out there on a daily basis, and I won't hopefully end up in a situation like that. But it's very easy for a lot of us to say what we would do in the blink of an eye during a split second. Kate, also keep that number up if you can. I think the chat's gonna
yeah,
be a little live tonight.
yeah. Let me put
Um,
it back up.
but like you said, and we're gonna dig deeper into that because I didn't know if we were gonna go right into the Makia situation, if we were gonna talk about a couple of the ones previous to that, or if you just wanted to jump into
Well, let's
Makia
let's
Bryant.
because let's talk about Makia Bryant first and foremost because it's going to lead into everything else. the Dante, what's Dante Wright?
Dante
Dante
Wright.
Wright, and it's going to lead to Derek Chauvin and George Floyd. And I don't. There's a couple other cropped up. Some guy named Andrew Brown. Something was he got shot too. But I mean, it's just they are now that it is back into the face of the public. It's on the forefront again, and everybody's talking about it. And all of them, anything that happens now with any shooting with the police is going to be the front page news, just because that is what is keeping people's
Well,
eyes glued to the screen.
let's talk about this,
So
right? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that the reason why, in my opinion, it was placed on and Breonna Taylor, right? Bianca. We're not forgetting anybody. So
yeah,
we're gonna talk about whoever you guys want to come in and talk about tonight. But what I was gonna say is let's not overlook the fact that, in my opinion, why they released that video so soon. There's been other cases and there's been other shootings that we've seen video and we've seen body cam footage 3 or 4 months after the actual incident. In this case, we saw footage within the same 2 days of what occurred because, in my opinion, it was an easier presentation for the police department to release the footage because, the young lady who was seen being murdered on film was basically, what's the word, wielding a knife towards young lady in the pink. So
right.
with them being able to, expose that imagery and put it up everywhere, it was kind of like, in my opinion, a war tactic to say, all right, here you go, Black America. This is what's going on. So before we always just jump right on the police, look at your people out here waving knives around. And in my opinion, that's why I'm gonna take the I disagree side. So I'll go first.
Okay.
I see, Bianca in the chat saying 4 times is too much. So let's talk about what's going on. So you get a phone call to a residential neighborhood of a woman having a knife, right?
hmm
You got a weapon on the scene. A knife can kill. So let's be factual. I'm gonna give my opinion, but I'm still gonna say some facts.
hmm
So when I look at the video, I see 2 officers getting out the squad car. I see 2 women getting into an argument with some pushing, and then K Dizzle, they're still asking for the number. They've been a little loose tonight.
JoJo's retarded.
But
I
we
love you. Well,
appreciate
she
you.
between us and the game. That's what it is. That's the number 301-857-1757. 301-857-1757. You can save that number. It's always going to be the same number every week. Go ahead, Hef. I'm going to leave it up. Go ahead, Hef.
So where was I? So basically the officers, show up. And in my opinion, all right, again, it's my opinion, it's subjective. You see, as soon as you step out the car, one of the things I was saying in the UK was,
Hey, mama.
how you doing? Happy birthday, Mama Hef. I
D,
want to
hey.
say really quickly before we get in too
Oh,
deep. Happy birthday to my
happy
mom. I
birthday,
love you very
mom.
much, Ma.
Happy
Really
birthday, mom.
appreciate you supporting us every week.
What's up,
Uh,
D? Appreciate
and
you,
what's
brother.
up, D?
Hey.
So real quick, so basically, you know, you see all of a sudden to your right peripheral, because like you and I said, we kind of talked about it at first. A lot of action was going on as soon as he steps out the car. So the girl seems to appear to run over. When I say girl, Makia Bryant, she appears to push another girl down. And then at that point, I would have thought the officer would have maybe got in the middle, gotten to a better position, I guess, of vantage point to be able to maybe defend. Now, again, it's easy for me to say because it was fast,
Right.
but he kind of lagged. He's still in the same trajectory of not being in between the altercation, to where
hmm
I even see a guy, I think, kick. I think when you were talking about, I was asking, was that a guy that kicked the girl
hmm
on the right side? So when that happened, doesn't pull out his taser. So now you're seeing a pretty bigger person in front of another person waving a knife in a rage like they're gonna stab. Do you come out, shoot below the waist? And I know you had an interesting point that I'm obviously we're going to get to you shortly about what police are trained to do. But are you going to shoot below the waist? Are you going to tase that person? Or is this one of those situations? And I'm going to step out there and say it, guys. Was this like, okay, I think I can go ahead and shoot this? Shoot this young lady, right?
hmm
I see a knife, but I also see that, it's some black on black crime going on. And maybe I got the opportunity to just let some shit out my system. and let me go ahead and shoot off 4 shots because I can't get there within 6 feet and grab the girl, or I can't sit there and tase the girl. I'm gonna make sure she gets hit 4 straight times on sight. And instead of saving lives and saving the girl's life who's about to possibly get stabbed, she kills a person. I mean, excuse me, he kills a person on the site, and we still have a casualty. So, in my opinion, the excessive force definitely was there. I think it, and again, it's easy for me to say. I could have
Right.
I could have said that that person could have shot below the legs and not necessarily fired 4 times. But let's go ahead and let you play devil's advocate.
Well, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull the video from CNN. It's the body cam footage, right? Melinda says, "Well, my opinion, officer didn't have to, I guess, shoot her. He had a knife. She had a knife, not a gun. The officer would have tased her. What happened should have not should have, I guess, uncalled for." DJ White, what's up? Thank you for sliding in, man. We having a serious conversation tonight. How about not shoot the kills, just tased and other shit? He was justified. He was justified, as JoJo saying. Look, let me pull up the tape because I know you just went through explaining the whole thing, right? Blazing, what's up? Um, let's pull it up so we can all look at it, right? Look at it and see whether we see the same thing. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Is it up?
Yes, up. I
Let's
see it.
do it. Let's do it this way so it's easy to see, right? Let's pull it up this way. So let me go back here so that we just take an objective look at it, right?
Multiple angles over time. So you're going to get all of this. I do want to warn you, though, that the video that you will see is, of course, very disturbing. Jason Carroll is out front.
Hey. What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey, 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 get down, get down, get down, get down.
It all happened in seconds. A police officer opens.
All right, hold on. Hold
is,
on.
of course, very disturbing. Jason Carroll is out front.
Hey. What's going on? Hey, what's going on? Hey, 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 get down, get down, get down, get down.
It all happened in.
All right, so you explained it to the T, right? You explained it to the T. What you have is a split second situation in that that the cop is showing up on a assault, right? Assault call. He doesn't know who called. Like you said, the first thing I noticed, the first thing I noticed, yeah, he did say that. He did say that. The first thing I noticed was when he came on the scene. Okay, there wasn't an altercation, and it's the same thing we said. I said it to you before. There was no altercation. It was just a bunch of yelling. It was a bunch of fussing when he pulls up on the scene. And then immediately after taking a few steps, someone comes out of the back and begins to assault one person, knocks them to the ground, has a weapon in their hand, and then turns and goes towards another person with that same weapon and in a swinging motion with a knife intent to do harm. The police officer at that point, okay, because it is a knife, because it is considered a deadly weapon, they are authorized to use deadly force. Um, he doesn't know who called the police. The only thing he knows is that I got out of my car, I'm coming to answer this call, and somebody's coming out of the back and assaulting somebody else and going after someone else.
So what you're saying is that police are trained when there's a perpetrator with a knife to shoot to kill on
Yes.
site.
They are trained. They're trained to neutralize the threat. Okay, they're trained to neutralize the threat because we can all speculate on the right and the wrong thing to do. We can all say, hey, maybe he should have pulled out his taser, or maybe he should have used his baton, or maybe he should have tried to grab her and keep her from assaulting other people. This happens in less than 2 seconds, and he has to make a decision on saving someone's life, at the cost of someone else's life. Now,
So let me ask you a question.
And look, you
So
said,
look,
look,
real
not
quick though,
kill
Bumpy
or
Johnson,
neutralize the threat.
right? You
Bumpy
just said
Johnson says not kill, but neutralize the threat. And let me say this, because he doesn't know there are a bunch of different factors that police officers go through when they train. And hey, JH, thanks for coming through. They don't, when they show up to the scene, they are taught to expect the worst, right? They are taught to expect the worst. They don't know if that person the threat is on drugs. They don't know if that person is, is high or whatever the case may be. They don't know what's going on. They know what they see, and they have to react based on what they see. In this case, I don't think it was the bias that we're all used to and what we've been judging every situation off of. Because you got to think about this. If he takes the taser out, and he tases her and she still gets that stabbing motion in and kills the lady in pink, then he loses his job for not using deadly force.
But see, that's what we're talking about. Real quick,
that's what we're talking about.
Hold on one second. Let me say one thing. So Bianca says neutralize with one bullet to the leg, not kill it one shot. All right. So it's a split second, Bianca. And I was sitting here arguing with K Dizzle, not arguing, but we were talking about this, and we watched the footage last night in pre-show production over and over and over. And we don't have that luxury. That cop doesn't have that luxury pulling up at the scene. Mm-hmm. So I asked K Dizzle the question last night, right? There's two factors here for me that can get me a little bit to sway either way. All right, now I'm gonna play the game, and I shouldn't use those words, but I'm gonna put myself in the cop's position, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna be the cop stepping out the cop car, getting called to the scene, and when I see that crowd, I'm jumping in the middle because it's my job to protect and serve, right? Mm-hmm. In my opinion, the cop was a little bit afraid. I think he showed fear. I think he's definitely sounded like he was afraid when he got there. He didn't necessarily take, I think, the proper control of the situation, and he immediately resorted to shooting, a person 4 times. I've been in situations to where I've broken fights up in my day. I'm not saying I'm the police, but I've broken up some fights trying to help out friends and family, and there've been some weapons around. I'm sure you've been in that position too. I haven't always had to shoot somebody or stab somebody to break up a fight or hit somebody with a bat to break up a fight. But here's the thing, right? And this is where I wanted to chat to fill me on this too. Because I think the cop was moving in a haste pace, right? But let's say this, and we're gonna get to the chat right after I say this real quick.
Wait a minute. Well, let me say this, JH. In Germany, police are only allowed to shoot in legs or shoulders, only in very extreme situations that happen sometimes that the police kill a person, perhaps 1 or 2 a whole year in Germany. But
let me ask this question real quick.
That's Germany, because the difference between Germany and the United States of America, we have a history of institutionalized racism done through law enforcement. So that's why our situation is hella different from any other country. You know what I'm saying? Any other country. So and that's what we're trying to tackle right now. Go ahead, Hav.
So let me ask you this question. So, and I asked you this yesterday, and everybody in the chat, if you want to come on in and join us and let us know. If you get out that car and you see a man in front of that victim, maybe that girl holding a puppy, do you think now he has to move even faster? Because let's say there's a larger man in that same position where they put that freeze frame of that girl holding a knife. Mm-hmm. If that's a guy, does that make people feel different? You know what I'm saying? Because I asked that question. If you pull up and there's a man doing that, would people have said like, all right, well, damn, he was tripping?
Mm-hmm. You're fine, Jay. Thanks for sharing. That's good.
Absolutely, Jace. We appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. So I was asking that question, Kay. What you think about that?
If it was a man, I think the feelings, I don't know.
Because JoJo's asking for the number again.
Oh my God, Joe. It's right there.
That's hilarious.
301-857-1757. Look, because JoJo's in law enforcement. But
Okay, good.
here's to that example that you say. If it was a man, no, I don't think it would have been different. I don't think his reactions or our reaction would have been different because we're in the heat of racial injustice when it comes to how we're treated by law enforcement and also the accountability towards our treatment in law enforcement. So no, I don't think that would have been the case. I think this is a situation where you have a split second decision. Like you said, you've been in some situations. I've been in some situations with people I know. These are people that don't live in this neighborhood, that don't know these people and don't know what's going on. They are complete strangers. So you have to react based on your training. And I can only say, look, if they pose that question, I'm gonna pose the question too. Just so everybody knows, and this is why I'm arguing the case. I do believe, regardless of his color, I do believe the officer was justified in his actions because he saw the threat and he had to neutralize the threat at that very moment. That snapshot was 2 to 4 seconds. Don't call me, text me so I can send you the goddamn link. Okay? text to call this information. Now, and here's the other part too that I brought up in this entire situation. She called the police. Okay? Makia called the police. There was no altercation when the police showed up, outside of them yelling at each other. Okay? No, not basically kill you. But Bianca, listen. If you call the police, okay, because you're in fear of your life, you got 2 other women trying to jump you, plus whoever's there, right? Once the police arrive and you see the police there, do you now become the one that's instigating the drama? No, you don't. And the reason why you don't is because the police are there to keep them away from you. That's why you call. But but circle back. This is a child we're talking about. And what do children do when they want to fight but don't want to fight? They buck and they wait for somebody to hold them back. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
So they buck and they wait for somebody to hold it back or wait for somebody to break them up. So the child went, the police are there, and instead of sitting back, explaining what's going on, telling them that these 2 women are trying to hurt me, I called the police because I wanted you to come and get in between them. She decided to go out with a knife and try to stab these women.
So on the flip side, right? But that being said, she's a child, like you just said, right? And I'm not gonna, like I said, I wasn't gonna bring you on here and debate you too heavy on it, because I understand where you're coming from too. But it's like, let's say he took the route of the stun gun, the taser. Excuse my language, JoJo, because I probably said the wrong term. Let's say he used a taser, and the victim, or the suspect, I should say, gets hit with the taser. So she gets hit with the taser within 6 feet. She's 16 years old, going through some type of traumatic experience in her head, which is why she's holding a knife and waving it around. Say she gets hit with the taser and she stabs the victim and she goes down, and you're taking the victim to the hospital with a stab wound and you're taking her to jail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, are we talking about this officer completely eliminated the possibility of that person getting stabbed completely? And they just made a decision of, I'm stepping out the car. The number's not up. I'm stepping out the car and just firing them away. That's my point that I'm trying to make. You know, in my opinion, that officer made a decision to kill as soon as he fired that gun.
Oh, Mark Gray just texted me and said, I believe he was doing what he was taught to take control of the chaos that he was witnessing.
Okay.
That's, trying to take control of the chaos.
So then here's my question, and if we can ever get JoJo on, because this has been like the most
JoJo's ridiculous.
I want to ask JoJo. Right? What are police trained to do when they see a threat like that? I trust you, K Dizzle, but I know you're not a member of law enforcement. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to see what's the method that they teach when you see a person with a knife, not a gun. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you see a person with a gun, in my opinion, what I thought it was always was you match what you see. So if a person has a gun, I can understand you getting out shooting, which is why my next point, what I want to ask JoJo is, it was a melee, JoJo. So okay, it was one knife. A melee to me is a lot more than one knife. But again, I'm not saying I'm a super tough guy, but that's just my opinion. But what I'm trying to say is JoJo keeps saying some great comments, and it's like cut me off of my thought. I wish they would come on the line. What happens to the serial killers, right? How are the officers trained to go in on a serial killer situation or one of those terrorist attacks, I should say? So it's cool for me to shoot up 10 people, and because when the cops get there, I put my gun away and start crying, you take me in. I thought they would train. Let me ask the question though. I thought they would train to go in on a person that's shooting up a school or a bank to shoot them. So why are we taking in all these people that are killing 7 and 10 people at a time, but we shoot a 16-year-old girl for pulling out a little 3-inch blade?
JoJo, I sent it to you. I sent it to you on Facebook Messenger. But look, that's where we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about two different things. We're talking, that's crisis intervention. But wait a minute. What we're talking about is two different situations, right? See, there we go. More out of fear and out of haste.
I agree.
We're trying to judge the heat of the moment. We're trying to judge that split-second decision, and your split-second decision is based off of the training. Okay,
but the 4 shots, though,
they don't
he fired the shots, though.
Center mass.
It was a decision that was made. Is all I'm saying.
All cops are taught to shoot center mass. Period. Neutralize the threat. Period. I have officers in my family, and I'm not on this side because I do have officers in my family. I'm on the side because I looked at the tape objectively, and knowing that they have to make that situation, they have to make that decision in a split second. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they're trained to do, and that's what they did. Now, they don't carry rubber bullets. Okay, they don't carry rubber bullets. That's only SWAT teams that carry rubber bullets.
Yeah, that's tough.
But we're talking about two different things. We're talking about this particular situation, and we're confusing it. And this is we're talking about. That's why we're in a rabbit hole. We're confusing it with the racial bias that is in law enforcement and policing.
But you can't say we're confusing it though, just because of the times. Listen, just because of the times that we're experiencing, K, is all I'm saying.
No.
Because it's just hard to have this after we've had the last 4 or 5.
Right.
And again, a lot of black folks are sitting in the house watching these guys who tend to be white shoot up the banks and the schools and the rooms, get carried in, and getting, some time on their hands as opposed to getting shot.
And look, and it's hard to accept looking at this situation and not lumping it with the rest of the arrest of the incidents.
It's
toughest
hard.
Part. That's the toughest part. And it's because it's in the heat of the moment. And we're so blinded to the rage that we've been experiencing over the past 18 months that it's tough for us to look at each individual situation objectively. Now, and I'll say this too, 99% of all the deaths that have occurred by law enforcement hands of black people have been wrong recently, have been absolutely wrong recently. And the problem is, every time we see a black person get shot by the police, we always have that footage of a white person doing 10 times worse and being arrested. And that is the issue that we're talking about. I don't agree with the loss of life either, in any way, circumstance, any way, shape, form, or fashion. I don't agree with the loss of life. I do agree with it. Man, did you go to Facebook Messenger? You are like you. Did you meet Bianca the other week? You and Bianca are the worst. You and Bianca are the worst at getting on here. Huh? You do you have a she got one of them Let's Talk Wireless phones.
Let's Talk Wireless. Straight Talk Wireless. She got Snake too. She got Snake 2 on her phone.
She got a jitterbug. How old are you? I got to check.
I
your
mean,
age.
again, and I'm gonna reiterate while we still wait for this chat to get worked on. It's so easy for us to say after watching it 20 times,
Mhm.
because I can be easily picked apart up here talking on this platform. Don't come for me. She said iPhone. But we can easily be picked apart on this platform by talking about it. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to put themselves out there behind their face and talk about it, but we will. And I just think that the dude came out and made a decision, like the one person in the chat said, pretty hastily, and he moved out of fear. I probably would have been afraid. I can't sit here and
Mhm.
say that I'm not going to get out the car and be nervous in a situation like that. But I ask you this other question too. If that's you getting out of a car, and see, this is the fine line between a civilian and a police officer. And I hope we can get
Mhm.
a person of law enforcement to come on here, because we appreciate you. We're not gonna, come at you in a disrespectful way. We want to talk about what's going on. But you can't say, like, if it was me getting out the car and I saw my relative holding a puppy up against the car key, right? And I
Right.
saw that person in front of her wielding a knife, I can't say I wouldn't have shot that girl. I can't say
And
I can't say me personally, if it was Marcus Young Hef getting out the car, seeing my people getting ready to be almost stabbed, I can't say I wouldn't have shot that girl.
tap that link. You see that link in the chat? If you can see it or you can touch it, tap that link. Okay. The number is 301-857-1757.
But see,
301-857-17. It is a video chat, so we bring you right on live. The video, everybody see your beautiful face. Bonnet it all, bonnets are welcome. But it is
bring
the
your own
biggest
bonnet.
thing. I would have look.
But check out that
see,
comment, Kay, when he says
I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling it
go ahead.
up now. If I were in that position, I would at least let off a few warning shots to strike some fear in the suspect, right? Think about this. Think about this, DJ. She's already in a swinging motion for the girl's neck with a knife. She is not off some warning shots. She's not thinking about anything
But you hit it on the
stabbing her.
head, though. But you hit it on the head when you said when he got there, it wasn't chaos when he got there. In my opinion, I don't think he established the proper positioning. And I might be going at it deeper with a fine-tooth comb, but I think he was afraid to get in between the melee, like the chat was.
Did you
calling
see
it.
Did you see the picture of him? Did you see
No.
him? He looked like he was 5'6", $120.
Yeah, he was scared, man. He didn't want to get in between
And
that.
you got to think too. And here's where the racial and look, he had a split second, 100%. And he's 5'6", $110.
He been getting pushed in his
around-
locker. He been getting pushed in his locker all his life.
He's around a bunch of black people. And look, it's all like I said, we can all judge from the outside looking in or being in those shoes until we're in those shoes and have to deal with that. And it's just crazy. He protected one and killed the other.
That's what I was saying. He made a decision.
He made a decision.
But I thought as an officer, K, you're supposed to neutralize a situation and not necessarily kill. You're saying neutralize, but then you're saying train to be center shots and 4 shots was all good. That's not neutralizing, though, man. That's straight. He made a decision to kill her. That's all I'm saying.
I may disagree. Yeah, he did make a decision to kill her. Let me put before we get in there, Dre, aka Bumba Josh. You got your audio on, man. You ain't turn your camera on.
Can't hear me?
What you got? Yeah, you got to. What's going on, man? You can't come on.
What's up? What's up?
What's up, cuzzo? I'm in the kitchen cooking.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. What you cooking? What you cooking on?
I'm about to make some salmon, some scalloped potatoes, some green beans.
Oh, he got the whole fish fry going in there. You turn that camera on,
I'm trying
man.
to get some of that.
Turn that camera on, bro.
I'm in the comforts of my home.
In the comforts of the home, he in the onesie cooking up.
Require me to put a shirt
He in the
on,
onesie with the fuzzy socks cooking up.
You got the taco.
What up,
out.
man? Taco.
It's all good.
God. See, go ahead, man. What you got, Dre?
But nah, seriously though, like I've been, I'm not big on social media, but I've been watching everybody comment on social media, and it was interesting because that first time, Margaret sent me the jump, so I said I'm gonna support, family. And
Right.
it's interesting to see that this is a topic of conversation. So, what I feel like a lot of people's opinion on the situation is, of course, what's going on in today's society, where everything a police officer does is under scrutiny. And again,
Right.
that
Right.
scrutiny is warranted. It's not like it's unjustly warranted. But you got to
Right.
remember, what one bad person doesn't necessarily represent the ones that actually do the job with a
Right.
purpose.
It's fair.
So with what happened in that situation, he got out the car, and the first thing, if you listen to the body camera, the first thing he asked is, "What's going on?"
Yep.
And not one time did one of them adults out there take the time to step in to calm the situation, which they could have, to explain to this officer responding to a 911 call where not much information was given. You just hear a lot of commotion in the background going on and arguing with the 911 caller.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain questions you're asked. Are knives or weapons involved? Are any weapons involved? The 911 dispatchers are trained to ask you those things.
Correct.
Not one time were any of those questions answered. So, of course, he's going into a situation blind. And you're talking about fear.
Right.
Yeah, he's fearful. It's two things here. He's fearful because he doesn't know what he's walking into. And then when he gets out there, he sees a young lady, doesn't know whether she's an adult or not. She's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
She has a weapon. Now, it's not the police officer's intention to take a life, because today's society and the media has portrayed that it's every time you see a police officer draw his gun, his intent is to take a life of a black person. That is not the case. And I'm black. And I like Derek Chauvin, he deserved what he got.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you seen endless police officers, high-ranking officials go public and state that they don't support. His own chief got on the stand and testified against him.
Yeah. Now, Mark Gray just texted me in. He said, "Now, I'm gonna ask you this, Dre. If it was a female cop, would you have thought differently about it?"
She'd have had to react the same way.
Okay.
But again, the average cop, when it comes, because you're not. It's not every day you're gonna draw your gun and you're gonna pull that trigger.
Right.
But the average cop is taught, if you draw your gun, matter of fact, you don't even have to be a cop. If you're a civilian and you draw a weapon on somebody, automatically you've committed a crime.
Yeah.
You don't even have to pull the trigger. You pointing that gun, pulling it out and pointing that gun and not shooting it is automatically an assault.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a police officer, you're trained to, if you draw your weapon, 9 times out of 10, you should be pulling the trigger. You're not to pull your weapon and point it at somebody, because now you, as that officer, you committed a crime. That's assault.
Hey, Dre, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I mean, you really dropping some good information, man. I really appreciate you calling in, cuz, and I wanted to ask you, what about because we're gonna go into Dante right next too. What about the taser gun conversation? Could there have been a taser used in this situation?
No, and because the taser is considered a less lethal equipment. So with the taser, if you look at the reactions that most people have from a taser, and there's actually a video out where there's this pretty hefty dude. They tased him, and he still was able to reach that officer and stab her 3 times.
Okay. So are we wrong are we being wrong by lumping her into this movement? Should we not say her name?
She's wrong. She was wrong. It's no way you can confuse the two.
Yeah.
It's no way possible you can confuse the two. The grip of them, the weight of them, it's no way possible you can mistake the two.
And that's my only gripe about it. That's my only gripe about it is that we haven't looked at
no way
it
possible. And then you're talking about, again, the training when it comes with that. It's no way possible. You're required as an officer to do quarterly. Sometimes it's quarterly, or sometimes it's a set amount of times a year to requalify the gun range. So you know what it's like to pull your gun, pull the trigger of the gun. You know what it's like to hold the gun. The taser, you pull that out for less lethal situations, and you have to. And when you go through training, again, the grips on those are different. It's no way you can confuse those two. No way possible. She's dead wrong.
Using that. Okay, so using that. Now we want to roll into Dante Wright.
Right.
Okay. Now we want to roll into Dante Wright. Okay, because we want to take one piece at a time. Yeah, I think there are good arguments on both sides on what was wrong, what was right with the Ma'Khia Bryant. Now we want to talk about Dante Wright. I want to know what you think about that situation.
Again, you talking about a misdemeanor crime.
Mm-hmm.
He's fleeing. Him making an effort to get away doesn't warrant a weapon to be drawn. In those situations, you either you let him go, you got his tag, you got his information, you can go get a warrant for his arrest.
And look, and Bianca saying, did she deserve to lose her life since she was wrong? She did not. She did not deserve to lose her life since she was wrong. But
No, his
that is the
intentions wasn't necessarily to take a life either. His
that's the
intentions
cause.
was to save a
Yeah,
life.
that's the cause and effect of her actions. That's the cause and effect of her actions.
Correct.
And,
So is
and
it fair to
that's the thing to say?
is it fair to say, guys, and Dre, because I know you got a history in the force. Once an officer pulls their gun and they fire it, they're shooting to kill.
Yes.
See, in the average, non-trained person that's not going to use the training terminology, because when you say shoot to kill,
Yeah,
now you got to
neutralize it.
You got to put that in a report. Now
Neutralize the threat.
That got to go to court, and you got to testify to that. Your goal is to neutralize the threat, and the reason you're taught to neutralize the threat is because your intent is never to take a life.
Right.
But see, that goes back to my statement, though, Dre. And I'm not gonna keep talking in circles and wearing it out. But in my opinion, that officer made a decision to take her life as soon as he pulled his gun out.
Because you're taught the 21-foot rule, and within 21 feet, he could have been stabbed as well. She could have turned around, stabbed the girl she was trying to stab, and turned around and got to him before he could have even drew his gun.
Yeah, she was shot 4 times in the chest, center mass. And officers are trained to shoot center mass.
And if you think about it, if you're talking about the body mass, those first couple rounds didn't take effect to her. Yep. It wasn't until round 3 and 4 where she started to become limp.
Okay.
So rolling into Dre. Look, man, we heard the fish frying. We appreciate you coming.
Man, we appreciate you, man.
We wanted to see the fuzzy socks and the taco meat, but I understand you didn't want to bring it on. Maybe next time, bro. Maybe next time.
I got you.
Put some, curl it like baby hair. Get the ladies going. But nah, man, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, man.
On anytime. Arizona. Shout out to
What's
Arizona.
up, Arizona?
But look, let's move to Dante Wright. Man.
So let's talk about, for people who didn't know, who's been under a rock about Dante Wright. So I'm not sure if we're going to go into footage on that, but from what I see, we got another young man. We're talking about a lot of young kids here too. At the beginning of the day, we're not talking about, kids. Old homeless people on drugs. We're talking about kids. Yeah. And looks like a normal routine, traffic stop. A lot of us have been there before. And I want people to talk about their personal perspective. I see, that in the chat, but and what I saw, K-Dills, was that the guy, speaking of Dante, is doing a lot of moving. He's acting very, very afraid. He's talking to his mom on the phone. I never saw at any point in that video him become a threat. So going back off of what you said last time and what Dre said about the, Ma'Khia Bryant neutralized the threat. If he gets away, like Dre said, you have his information. So how can you sit there? How can you sit there and justify that and then say, "Oh, I thought it was the taser"? I mean, that right there is just like, this situation with Ma'Khia is going to make it worse for this lady, for Dante. Trust and believe, in my opinion, because she's not going to have a toe to stand on, let alone a leg, in my opinion.
This was pure negligence. Pure negligence. And unfortunately, because of the job, the career that you chose, when you're that negligent, it costs someone a life. And this is a situation where it costs someone a life. The sad part is, 20 plus years on the force, and you make a gross mistake like that could cost a young man's life. Now, the actions of the young man, regardless of if he was scared or what was going on, he was wrong. He was wrong for running. And when you run we are all taught now, keep in mind, Hef, it's different. Okay. If you are pulled over by the police, you're pulled over by the police and they have you surrounded, you ain't running. Now, if you're in the neighborhood that you are at the park, that's a whole nother, or you on the block, that's a whole nother conversation that we don't want to go down.
Back when I was like 12 years old in Suitland, and you heard cuckoo, or you heard, the boys, all of a sudden,
one
everybody
time. Done. But if you are pulled over by the police, and no matter what is going on, no matter what you have on you, unless you're at 3 strikes, you don't run. And this kid he made the wrong decision again.
This is how I take
but
it.
this was super negligent. She picked the wrong. She said taser, pulled the wrong gun, pulled the wrong weapon, and killed the young boy.
You gotta break it down to its simplest form, Kay, in my opinion.
She knew it the moment she shot. She knew it. The
But here's the
moment
thing.
she shot, she knew it, and she got to deal with it.
If you get pulled over, Kermit, and somebody's got the drop on you, meaning to say you're pulled over, you're dead to rights, they got guns, you got an officer on both mirrors and in the trunk.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I don't care. See, we get this whole uniform and badge thing blurry. I don't, sir. I've been pulled over multiple times in my life. I've been in different situations, and I'm going to say that every single time I was afraid. And I'm one of those people that feel to have courage, and I think I have heart. But when I get pulled over by the police, I'm afraid. You know why? Because they're a goon with a gun that has people behind them that know some stuff that I don't.
Right.
And in the hood or in the street, you don't even have to be in the hood. If you get pulled over by somebody with a gun, you're in trouble because you don't have a gun. So I'm at a disadvantage if I have all these people surrounding me, badge, no badge, with guns loaded, cocked and ready, because all it takes is one slip up and I'm dead.
Yep.
Right. So when you put a kid who's seen all this stuff in today's climate, like Arizona said, the temperature set, he's scared. The boy is scared, is all I'm saying. Talking about Dante, right? He's scared.
Yeah.
So with him moving around, everybody's fear is different.
Yep.
And unfortunately, him being afraid is not going to get him back. And the officer being afraid, right? The officer being afraid took his life. So what we're talking about is the lowest vibration on this earth, and that's fear. Right? We're talking about fear. Because everybody's acting out of fear and hate. And in that situation, that boy was sitting there looking like he was afraid of death. And unfortunately, he was not tased. And, then we talk about, before you go into finishing up with Dante, I know you want to talk about the colonel who pulled over to a lit area at the gas station.
Oh, man. I'm not even, look, that is not just, look, I'm from the DMV, and anybody from DMV or DC or Maryland can tell you they do not like Virginia. We don't go to Virginia unless we have to, or unless there's a party there, or unless there's a function there.
What we always say, we call it the Commonwealth.
We call it the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth. We're not going to the Commonwealth because we understand that Virginia in itself is a different animal. They are there. The officers are different there. Okay.
If you get locked up in Virginia, you don't get out for a week, and that's before COVID. You don't see the judge for a week on a traffic stop.
Oh my God. I mean, I got more than enough horror stories with just myself going to Virginia. But that's just what I saw when I saw that was just immediately I just said that's par for the course. I don't know why people are getting uproar about it, because that's just what in Virginia, that's just what it is. If you're black in Virginia, that's just what it is. Now you can cry and tell me that Northern Virginia is different. Stop it. If I got Maryland or DC tags, stop it.
Don't go.
Don't do it.
You can't grow down Virginia, Bianca. You can't grow down there.
No, hoes can't grow in Virginia. you chasing you back to Bebo, you ain't making it past the state line. 395 will be cut off. But they were agitated. The reason why it elevated to such a high level is because they were agitated that he took 2 minutes to pull into a well-lit area and they did not stop to listen to them. The police felt he was being disrespectful by not pulling over when he saw those lights. Now,
but you have the right to do that.
I know you have the right to do that. However, the police don't give a shit. They don't care. They think you're being disrespectful, and now they're going to be hostile immediately towards you.
Let me ask you a question before I forget, because I really want to ask you this question. It's important to me.
Look, it ain't supposed to be racism, but it is it, Ron. Shut up. Stop playing with me, man.
What do you think, Kay, when it comes to this? And I asked you this before, and I want you to give me an answer if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I've seen the videos, right? And chat, stick with me, because I've seen the viral videos of certain previous officers or people who are real smart with the legal system showing you how to talk about your rights to officers and kind of like stumping officers who are trying to approach them with no cause. Would you recommend your children, friends, and family to talk about your rights to an officer at the scene? And if your rights are violated, be educated about that. Or do you comply?
I have them to tell them their rights, but I also have them to comply.
How do you
Because I would you can tell the officer your rights. Okay. You can explain thoroughly your rights, but you can also comply and get out of the car and do what they ask. Period. Because I would rather than you stop what you're doing, right? You try to refrain them from whatever they're trying to do, because all that's going to do is agitate them and further cause the ability for them to inflict more harm on you. I would rather fight that case in court, settle for $200,000 with the county, take that money because you're hiring in bad police officers, and move on with my life, versus you trying to fight them at that point, at the inflection point where they have the ability to take your life.
I'm gonna tell you
just because they have the badge or their power tripping, like you said.
I'm gonna carry it like this, just like I said a few minutes ago. They got the drop on me. They have me pulled over. They got guns. I can't talk about rights and who's right and who's wrong. I gotta comply. I gotta play Simon Says, and that's I know, right? And that's what I was saying. Like, do you play Simon Says, or when the officer asks for your identification unethically, do you give up your identification anyway? That's my question.
Yeah.
If I know that I'm not supposed to be in the predicament of getting stopped and frisked or giving up my identification, if I'm doing something perfectly legal,
yep.
Do I hand off my identification, or do I talk about my rights and risk the fact that we might take it to stage 2 or stage 3 and I got a gun pulled on me? So what you guys say that once the guns are drawn, it ain't no time to get your kung fu on.
Ain't no time to get your kung fu on at all. If you ain't got nothing, you can ask that question. You can tell them that what your rights are, and you can choose. That's your decision at that point. You can choose to comply or not. You can choose to comply or not. But I personally am going to comply. If I ain't got shit going on, I'm going to comply. Period. Because I want to live. I want to go home. And I can always double back and sue. If I feel like you accosted me in the wrong way, shape, form, or fashion, I'm gonna get paid. We live in a litigical society. Is that the right word? I don't know. It probably is. Or probably
say it again.
Litigious society. There we go. Litigious society. Is that right? Ooh, you stuck at me in.
Okay.
We live in a litigious society.
Okay.
And I am going to sue in order to live. Period. That's just the gist of it. You don't take that risk of putting yourself in danger and having that happen to you. I
agree. I comply with anyone who has a gun as well.
That's just the truth of it. Look, I'm telling them how good they look and all. You can look, women have so much flexibility in that aspect. Black men, no. Black men, no. I think we I think here in the DMV area,
So
we
we
kind of live
definitely
in a
some
bubble.
visitors from the
From what? Oh, you going a little bit back and forth there, homie. Oh yeah, they ready. They want to be a part of the conversation. But Dante Wright, like we talked about before, he was a product of negligence, and that woman who pulled out the wrong weapon on him is going to bear the brunt of the entire weight of the movement.
Hey, Kate, you getting some lag. Hopefully you come back.
Is it you or is it me? Yeah. I think we both getting a little lag there. But look, here's the other part to it, right? Let me pull them back out, and then back in and see what happens, and maybe that helps fix it. But I have a question for the chat. I have a question for the chat if you can hear it. Hold on. Oop. She's going down? Yeah, she's going down in a major way. She's going down in a major way. And like I said, she's just going to pay for the sins. Let's see. Marcus is going to connect back to us in a second. Yeah. So we were talking about one thing the other day, and this is all circling back to Derek Chauvin. Okay. Derek Chauvin. The biggest conversation, the topic was Derek Chauvin. Guilty on all three charges, right? All three charges, he's guilty. Everybody felt that was the right decision, right? Anybody disagree with it? Chat? Nobody disagree with that? Definitely not. Now, the biggest question is, how do we fix that? Where do we go from here now? Right? Where do we go from here? What do we do after the fact? Is there a law that we can put in place to fix what happened to George Floyd? And me and Hef were talking about this before we really went into this whole conversation. We were talking about this because, Black people felt that, hey, we were justified in this one, but it's not enough. So how do we really fix it? Because the biggest issue, what we're talking about, is just racial bias in policing. And I don't think, me personally, that there is a law that we can put in place to fix it, if that makes sense. There's not a law that we can put in place to fix it that's going to solve the issue of institutionalized racism within law enforcement. I don't know if it's not all right, legislation made specifically for Black and brown people, right? Legislation made specifically for Black and brown people. Now we're going into making affirmative action laws in law enforcement. So then we're going to, hold on, 86% of police departments in America are short staffed. I agree with that. People who are capable need to apply to police department and change the faces inside the departments. You hit the nail on the head, Dre. The only way that we really begin to make the change in law enforcement in America is by changing the people, hiring better. But then you get into this whole situation of police departments in America being short-staffed. That's the biggest problem. Oh, Hef is calling me now. What's up, Hef?
What's up, man? I'm just saying live. I went back in.
Are you saying live? You went back in. I'm gonna see if it pulls in. I didn't see a video, but let's see what happens. No video shows up, no audio. But like you said, redirecting the funding. You got to redirect the funding. You got to change. And Ron, look, you kind of stole my thunder about redirecting the funding, infiltration. We spend so much on law enforcement. What if we changed the funding from law enforcement into preventive services, family care services, social services that help pull people out of the situations that they're in so they don't make decisions to commit to crime or resort to crime, or just in those different type of activities. You guys remember the YMCA? Do you remember the YMCA? That was a place that you can go and stay off the streets in to do a whole bunch of stuff. Have you with me? I know you're still trying to get it on and off. They can hear you. I got you. You see, I got the phone in the chat, but that
Well, yeah,
was,
I'm with you. I ain't talking about the YMCA.
yeah, but that's what the issue is. Not spending the money in the right places. Instead of trying to fix the problem, I think America has taken the approach to mitigating the damage to the problem that we've caused. And if we just start really taking account into looking at what fixes the issue instead of trying to mitigate the damage, I think we'll be better off as a country, as a people, as a community, as a whole. So I see my man have you still. I see you coming up, but you're still not coming up. Let me do this since we having those issues, man. Look, this conversation is so important. And the reason why nobody wants to do the job, bro, that is, I mean, change starts within. Nobody wants to do the job, and everyone wants to critique it. That's the same thing when we go to McDonald's. You mad how they put the lettuce on your sandwich, but you don't want to flip the burger. You don't want to flip the burger, but you mad how the lettuce is. That's, everybody's a critic. It don't matter what you do, how you do it, or where you are. Everybody's going to be a critic, and law enforcement has such a hard job that it's tough to call. You really can't unless you either know people in it or you've experienced some of the training that they go through or taking a tour. It's hard to judge outside looking in. It's easy to think, but it sounds cliche, but every time they get out there, they put their lives on the line. Sounds cliche, blah, 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 woo, say woo. That's the truth. They're the only job that they can go to work and die at, and it be a part of their job. Everybody else is by accident. They're the ones that have to do the job every day. But it goes back to not just hiring more people, like you said, redirecting the funds, changing the way on how we deal with it, and just looking at another way to solve the problem, other than just throwing money at it, which is what we're good at doing. We're really good at doing as a country. That's a whole nother thing in itself. But we don't want to go down that road and make it all about the police. We want to make it all about what's going on and the current climate, and making sure that we're able to objectively look at every situation and make an informed decision based on the evidence. My personal opinion, and my personal opinion says, he was right in this situation. He was right to make the decision that he did. Unfortunately, it was with the loss of life. But that is part of the job when you have to make those decisions. There still does need to be some legislation. We can make laws till we're blue in the face. I firmly believe that. You know how many tax laws there are, and corporations still not paying the right amount, still paying zero. But unless we get our shit together and really try to fix the problem and stop, mitigating the damage, then I don't think we're going to be we won't be better off until we do that. So, look, let me go ahead and we're gonna wrap this show up, Cap. It's gonna wrap this show up. What you got to say, Faf, before we go out, man? Go ahead and say it. I got you on the mic, bro. You hear me?
Where we at?
Huh? We about to wrap up, bro. What you got to say on the subject before we wrap up?
I tell you, man, I'm very thankful for you guys coming through tonight. We apologize for some technical difficulties. Obviously, K Dizzle spoke on some great points and finished up pretty well, but we have to figure out a way to talk about this together and come up with some solutions as opposed to constantly critiquing. I might have came back on here, but
still frozen. Go ahead.
But either way, I just want us to start to have some solution based thinking about how we can move forward together.
Go ahead.
It's a deal situation. We back.
Yeah. Bianca said he did. He ran to the gas
Hear me?
station. He ran to the gas station and got some of his minutes. 20 minutes, Doc. 20 minutes.
I see his minutes ran out.
But go
I was
ahead, man.
talking trash about JoJo. I think JoJo shut me out.
JoJo might have shut you out, bro. She still ain't get it. I think she quit.
Hey, but look,
She
man, you know, I appreciate you guys. I got to put my hat back on. Hey, it's a live show, guys. It's a live show, but
these things gonna happen.
Serious topic, but I appreciate the conversation. Thanks for coming through, DK, for doing your research and you know, we're here every week. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we're here every week, bro. We're here every week.
Yeah,
One thing I'll do.
Something happened when we try to put JoJo in. So, hey, man,
here we go.
Episode 12.
Stick with us. Stay with us.
We talked
Episode
about some
12.
stuff
I want to
tonight.
show
Happy birthday, Ma. Thank you. Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you, Kay. See you
ADU all
guys
dressed
on
up
episode
podcast,
13,
Facebook.
baby.
Come check us out. Make sure you follow us on that page. This is where we're going to be streaming. As you can see us, we're there right now. This is where we want to centralize all our stuff. Same thing on the YouTube ADU podcast, man. Look, we love y'all. We do. The only way that we grow is with you guys and through you guys. We appreciate you coming out every week and showing your love and support. As always, we always want you involved. We always want you here. We want you a part of the conversation. I think that's what makes us different. And we only grow with your help and your network. So without further ado, let's send it on out. Let's always be honest here. Let's teach each other and share our knowledge and information. And look, we'll be back here, episode 13 next Sunday. Right, Hep? That's a yes. I love y'all. Deuces. You know, and I know, and they know, and we know, we go all